Mauer Der Toten is set up to be one of the biggest zombies maps in Call of Duty history. DLC 3 Mauer Der Toten comes out in just a couple of weeks. We don't have an official release date, but we are getting there. So in this video, we're going to discuss everything that you need to know about all the different sides and agendas going into Mauer Der Toten. This map is not simply going to be an Omega versus Requiem map. There are so many moving parts here that we need to discuss, so let's get into it. First, let's start with the obvious. Omega versus Requiem. At the end of the last Outbreak Easter egg, Omega actually captured Strike Team, and therefore we are technically under Omega's control. Now, as for how we're going to get to Berlin with that, I'm not sure. Maybe Omega's going to send us there as like test subjects, or maybe we just have to go in and do things for them because they don't want to do it themselves. Maybe they have a specific goal inside of Berlin that they specifically want done. Maybe we have to go in and open the portal ourselves that's going to release a bunch of zombies into that area, open the incursion zone. I'm not really sure, but for one reason or another, we now work for Omega. Requiem, on the other hand, obviously is going to try to get us back. Also, rip Raptor 1, dog. I'm pretty sure Raptor 1's dead. We miss you, Raptor 1. So the sole goal of Requiem in this new map will likely be to rescue the Strike Team. However, obviously, they're also going to want to be stopping Omega from creating this giant incursion zone inside of Berlin. The constant battle of East versus West will obviously go on. Now, as for who we will play as in the new Berlin map, it'll be interesting to see. I would assume that we will be playing as Strike Team and will be working for Omega. However, it is possible that we go in as Weaver, and we go in as Samantha, and we go in as whoever else Requiem can find to hopefully save the Strike Team. This would make a lot of sense because we got the new Weaver Operator released in this season's Battle Pass. Now, like I said, this is not just an Omega versus Requiem thing. There's also another agenda here. And we have to start that agenda with Valentina. Alexandria Valentina is the daughter of Ulrich Vogel. He was one of the main scientists in the creation of Project End Station at D Machina in Morasko, Poland. Vogel's goal from intel and other things we've learned throughout the story was to, at the end of World War II, to put the German soldiers inside of the Dark Aether to be released at a later date. Things weren't looking too hot for your boy in World War II, so he was like, get your butts into the Dark Aether, we'll bring you out later. However, Ulrich Vogel himself died and was trapped inside of the Dark Aether. And Alexandria Valentina has been hearing these voices, and she's been visited by her father, quote unquote.
16th of August, 1984. Personal log. He visited me again tonight. As I slept, he appeared before me. He is but a shadow to me, so close yet so far. He told me to have faith. I must stay the course. There were recent developments last month that were unanticipated. He assured me that all was not lost. His plan, our plan, is still on schedule. He had new instructions for me. I will see that they are completed. We will be reunited. We will rise again. Our destiny is all but assured.
Her goal is specifically to finish what her father started by releasing the German soldiers and in turn also releasing Vogel himself. She believes that he is trapped inside of the Dark Aether. So her sole goal is to open up the Dark Aether, an incursion zone big enough to release the German soldiers as well as her father. However, there's a really good chance that this person that's been visiting her isn't her father.
And now, at last, our time has come. A lifetime of preparation is about to be rewarded. Soon, you will reveal yourself. A threat so close, they never saw it coming. How long have we awaited this day? How many times have you proven yourself to them, made them value and respect you, the better to plunge your blade in their backs? Gather your things. Bid farewell to this false life you lead. Go to Berlin. Everything is in place. We are waiting. We are ready. Initiate the process, and your labor of love will at last be complete.
So this is where we move on to the one main entity inside of the Dark Aether that controls everything. You've heard about him time and time again. Who is the One? Is it Dr. Monty and the Shadow Man? Is it Zykov? It could be a lot of different things, and it could just be the One himself. Who knows? But it sounds like the One is actually portraying himself or herself as Dr. Ulrich Vogel and visiting Valentina in her home and at night, trying to encourage her to release him from the Dark Aether. By pretending to be her father, the One is basically saying, hey, complete my mission of releasing the German soldiers and I will come back to you. However, the One theoretically doesn't care about Alexandria Valentina. Let's be honest. Homeboy wants to get out of the Dark Aether and rule over not only the Dark Aether, but release the Dark Aether into the regular world at Mauer Der Toten and basically rule that as well. Now, there are a bunch of different dueling factions inside of the Dark Aether, all the different Elder Gods and whatnot, and basically the Dark Aether is chaos. And we learned all of this from one person, and that is Dr. Zykov. We've talked about Zykov a couple times on the channel, but here's a quick refresher. After the Germans started Project Endstation at the end of World War II and sent the army into the Dark Aether, eventually it was shut down. The Russians, after World War II, went in to check in on the site, and they were trying to find a way to stop it. After many failed attempts of trying to stop and destroy the Die Maschine, they decided that they needed to send in one of their engineers. This engineer was Zykov. You see Zykov in the Die Maschine intro cutscene as shaking hands with one of his colonels and then walking into the main room in Die Maschine. Once in, he is sealed inside, and we learn that he eventually shuts off the machine. However, it traps him inside of the Dark Aether. Now, the person that we've been talking to inside of the Dark Aether this whole time, whenever we do a trial machine and we have the intel from there or anything like that, is Zykov. He's also the one who has been basically building the perk machines and leaving them for us in the regular world as well. In essence, he is kind of like the Dr. Monty of this whole situation. Throughout all of the intel inside of the game, we learn that Zykov just wants to get out and come home. He wants to get released from the Dark Aether. He tells us about like the dragons and all that. He has basically been our one source of information for the Dark Aether. And up until this point, we've been able to trust Zykov, and we've been like, hey man, yeah, we'll release you, dog. Like, if we find a way to release you, dog, you're coming back. We appreciate you. You a homie. However, Zykov might not be as trustworthy as we once hoped. In one of the newest intels inside of Season 4, we learned that Zykov has also been working with Dr. Peck. For those of you that don't remember Dr. Peck, he was first introduced at Firebase Z as the homeboy who, danced and did all that weird stuff. At the end of Firebase Z, Dr. Peck's loyalty became in question, and eventually Kravchenko and Valentina came down there and, beat him up and said, yo dog, like, we gonna be watching you. And they have been watching him. Well, Dr. Peck created these inversion warheads that we found in the first Easter egg inside of Outbreak. These inversion warheads were meant to be sent all around the world to create incursion zones where zombies would be released all throughout the world and basically find a way to end the war and cause major destruction. Dr. Peck designed these, however, the only reason he was able to design them was with the help of Zykov. I'll go ahead and play that video for you right now. If you've already seen it, go ahead and skip ahead, but here it is.
My friend, I have been wanting to speak with you again. We have so much to do, and we are running out of time. Yeah, about that. My colleagues are starting to ask questions. I think they might know about you. They've definitely seen me on this computer, and they're wondering what I'm up to. I see. This may take some finesse, Dr. Peck, but you must somehow reassure them you are not up to anything they would not approve of. Easier said than done. Gorev and Valentina watch me like hawks, just waiting for me to screw up. They cannot understand your genius, Peck. They also do not know your inner pain. Not like I do. Look, if you help me round up more of those Tempest guys, I could make new inversion warheads, get back in the Colonel's good graces. No. Yet, my friend. That seemed like a good plan when we first conceived it, but now, I would not set you up to fail yet again. Besides, I have a better idea. Do tell. I am beginning construction of a new device. I will spare you the details until I know it can work, but it is exactly the sort of weapon your Colonel is looking for. Okay. When will you know if this new gizmo is viable? Soon, my friend. Just keep checking in with me. I am counting on your help.
So basically, Zykov helped round up the Tempest for the incursion warheads. Obviously, that didn't work out too well for Dr. Peck, as at the end of the first Outbreak Easter egg, we sent those into the ocean. Well, now Zykov tells Peck that he has a new device that he could use to help out this situation. But on one condition, Peck has to release him from the Dark Aether. So Zykov really wants out of the Dark Aether, and honestly, Zykov could totally be the one at this point. He could have been the one who's visiting Valentina, Peck, and Requiem wanting out of the Dark Aether. So Peck, inside of Mauer Der Toten, his main goal is going to be to basically prove himself to Kravchenko and Omega and say, hey, I'm here, I'm doing what I'm doing, and also release Zykov from the Dark Aether, and with the help of Zykov's new device, Peck is going to try to do just that. And that leads us into Kravchenko. Kravchenko is the leader of Omega, and he has been seen throughout the Call of Duty Black Ops storyline for years. At this point, you don't really need a backstory on Kravchenko, but what you do need to know is that he also wants to defeat the One. He knows that the One is a huge threat to everything that they are doing, and he wants to defeat him just like Requiem. Obviously, he has his own plans for, utilizing the Dark Aether, but it's very possible that Omega and Requiem team up to defeat the One when he eventually comes out of the Dark Aether, whether it be in this map or the next. We also learned that the Colonel inside of Requiem, whoever it may be, is kind of playing for both sides. We know that there is a mole inside of Requiem, and a lot of people say they think it's Carver, which is very possible. We haven't really heard much about that lately. But Kravchenko and whoever this mole may be will likely work together for their own gain. With Mauer Der Toten coming up here in the next few weeks, you are not going to want to miss anything on the channel, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I hope this video helped you out, and I'll see you soon.